Most people think psychosis is a big dramatic thing. The guy screaming at traffic, the person who needs to be held down, the full system failure. That's the part of the iceberg everybody points and says, "Thank God that's not me." Cute, because the truth is simpler and a lot less flattering. You're already in the iceberg. You just haven't looked down yet. Let's look into the method of madness of the Psychosis Iceberg. There's layers to this shit.
A very recent example of an individual who came in with a substance-induced psychosis was a young man who had been taking high doses of Adderall to treat what had been assessed as a very severe form of ADD. This patient had initially been helped by stimulants, but found that he liked them and found that he needed higher and higher doses. He raised the Adderall doses he was taking and developed a psychosis. The physician treating this patient was under the impression that the patient had a form of bipolar disorder and had developed a manic psychosis and began antipsychotic treatment. Unfortunately, the Adderall was continued. Psychosis did not resolve. When we saw the patient, he was delusional, had thoughts about his computer and his phone being hacked, had hallucinations, paranoid beliefs. After stopping stimulants and continuing antipsychotic medication for a relatively brief period of time, we saw a resolution of that psychosis. One of the most important things about diagnosing substance-induced psychoses is that if the substance is stopped, then very often individuals will be able to be treated to the point of resolution of the psychosis and not have ongoing long-term antipsychotic treatment.
Level 1 is so small, most of us call it just being human. You walk out of a test, certain you'll crush every question. 2 days later, the grades come back and you realize you were confidently wrong the entire time. The quiet, internal, wait, what? That's a micro-psychosis, a mild, temporary, almost polite disagreement with reality. Another example of micro-psychosis is when you spark up a blunt, you lean back and you say the classic, "I feel buzzed." Not high, not gone, just a little off. Reality tilted half a degree to the left, and you noticed. Guess what? That's still psychosis. Just a soft, socially acceptable kind. The kind we laugh about and keep moving. We all live on this edge every day. Some of us just pretend the water is solid ground. Your brain runs on predictive coding. It consistently generates guesses about what the world should feel like and only notices the mismatches. A small prediction error, like realizing you were confidently wrong on a test or feeling slightly buzzed after a blunt. It's just a system registering a brief gap between expectation and input. Most of the time, it corrects itself in just seconds, and you move on. That's the tiny shift. It's called a micro break in the model.
You are now tuned in to Method Madness.
Level 2 is where it starts getting personal. This is the layer where your mind decides it already knows something reality hasn't confirmed yet. You decided your lover is going to cheat. It's okay, we all been there. Not that they might, not that you're worried. You decided they will. And now every late text, every shift in tone, every 5 minutes becomes evidence. You're not crazy yet. You're just rearranging the furniture of reality so it matches the story in your head. It feels righteous. It feels protective. It feels like love or security. But it's still you arguing with the world and winning that argument inside your own skull. Most people will never admit this layer. They call it having standards or not being a sucker. But really, they're experiencing psychosis. Once an emotionally charged belief forms, especially around a threat or betrayal, the amygdala marks it as high priority. The brain then begins filtering attention and memory to protect that belief, a process called confirmation bias. Studies show people literally see more confirming evidence and overlook contradictory information when the brief is emotionally loaded. Reality starts to get rearranged to match the internal story, not the other way around. Meanwhile, the water's already past your ankles. You're definitely in psychosis now.
You are now tuned in to Method Madness.
Let's demystify what those terms mean. What are psychosis? What is schizophrenia?
Yes. Psychosis can describe a state of having a change in behavior, change in perception, maybe starting to, I think classically you hear about things like hallucinations, starting to hear things or see things that aren't there, that other people don't experience, maybe developing false beliefs, thinking that other people are talking about you, thinking that maybe somebody's following you or going to hurt you. But there are other symptoms of psychosis that are not always recognized as psychosis. Thought disorder, having some kind of alteration in the flow of thought. Maybe things get jumbled up and confusing. It's hard to communicate. And then there can also be what are called negative or deficit symptoms, a loss of interest or pleasure, maybe not showing very much emotion, not showing motivation. So it's really all of those things together. And psychosis can characterize a lot of different situations. So for example, somebody could be high on drugs and show psychotic symptoms.
Chemically induced.
Right, chemically induced. There can be rare medical problems that can cause psychosis, like a brain tumor, for example, could cause a psychotic symptom. But the most common forms are schizophrenia, and then sometimes mood disorders, such as bipolar, manic depression, or depression can have psychotic symptoms along with them.
Listening to you talk, I was channeling back to our discussion just before the show started, and that is so many of the things that you mentioned go along with being a teenager, for example. And I think every parent at some point worries that their kid might be depressed or have lack of motivation or is not interested in engaging and have at least superficially seem like they have some of these.
Level 3 is the one that usually gets the label. This is when the temporary shifts stop being temporary. When the disagreement with reality needs chemical help to quiet down. You're not just feeling buzzed anymore. You're hearing things that aren't speaking. You're certain of things that never happened. The world has a new set of rules, and only you got the memo. Medicine becomes the temporary peace treaty. It doesn't fix the iceberg. That's the thing. It just keeps you from drowning in it for a while. You're still freezing. This is the layer people are scared to admit they might touch. Because once you need medicine, you can't pretend it's still just a little off. The story has changed, and you're no longer visiting the iceberg. You're living in it. Positive symptoms of psychosis are strongly linked to excessive dopamine signaling in the mesolimbic pathway. Most antipsychotic medicines work primarily to block dopamine, which reduces the intensity of those signals and helps restore a more stable model of reality. At this layer, the brain's predictive system is no longer self-correcting. It needs chemical help to stay quiet. The noise is too loud.
You are now tuned in to Method Madness.
Level 4 is the full system failure. This is no longer a moment. This is a collapse. Reality has left the chat. The mind is no longer politely disagreeing. It's declaring independence. At this depth, you'll need more than medicine. You'll need physical regulation, hands, restraints, a controlled environment, because the person you were is temporarily offline, and something else is driving. This is the part of the iceberg that gets the movies, the horror stories, and thank God that's not me reaction. The deep base is made of the same frozen water as the edge. It's not a different substance. It's just more of it, under more pressure, for longer. The difference between I feel buzzed and I need to be held down is mostly the dosage and duration. We all carry the capacity. In the most severe states, prefrontal regulation on the limbic system collapses. The brain's internal brakes go offline. Reality testing fails completely, and behavior can become driven by raw, subcortical activity. This is why physical intervention is sometimes required alongside medicine. The higher control systems that normally keep the model of reality coherent are just no longer working. Most of us never get that far, but some of us sadly do.
You are now tuned in to Method Madness.
But the thing is, a little bit of craziness might be necessary. It keeps you sharp. It keeps you from accepting every cheap version of reality they hand you. But you have to notice when you're having the moment. You have to feel the water temperature change, because the iceberg doesn't care if you believe in it. It's already under your feet. The only real question is, how deep are you willing to go before you decide to climb back up? Be careful and don't get the bends. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.
Ela me ligou no meu iPhone. Eu não quero foder agora, vai já chata do cara.